After a night of special needs Roxy giving Rudy the hot tour, Rudy and the Real Paul crew must face the music of informing Rudy's family back at home about his special needs demon booty, and informing them about the realest of the Real Paul Grey Rat's realest demise. How will the super pregnant #1 elf Grey Rat wifey take this? How will #1 and almost #1 Imoto take this devastating news? Well, let's find out together. I would say spoiler warning, but the first 15 seconds was all spoilers. But yes, this is the last review of the very last episode of the season 2 finale of Mushoku Tensei, episode 24, Succession. I have to say this every video where I get slightly more discovered. I really only cover what happens in the anime for Mushoku Tensei, and I only cover up to the current episode's release point. And I like trying to react and review in the current moment and speculate over what the creators are trying to make us think or invoke out of us, rather than just go straight to spoilers. That is not what this channel is about. I'm never going to do news, I'm never going to do spoilers. But let me spoil something for you guys. You die. So why live? That's pretty much how I see watching anime or a movie or anything like that. Respect the journey because we all die anyways. What makes life amazing is the fact that the future is mysterious. With mystery, there's anticipation and various outcomes of what the future may hold that you are not 100% certain of. By the end of this video, you'll understand what I mean and how this actually relates to Rudy's character. So let's jump right into it. From the jump, Brutus and Real Paul's party are finally in the view of Rudy's cursed mansion, where #1 and almost #1 Imoto are waiting for the great news. Rudy's wife is patiently waiting for her man, the great Doranuma, to deliver the great news. However nervous Rudy gets, he's got future special needs demon wife by his side now. While Roxy is staring into the Doranuma abyss, Rudy speeds up because he's finally back at home. Then Geese does what his character does best, say the quiet part out loud. Bro must really miss his wife. Roxy is trying to move up in the world from side chick to Rudy's special needs wifey. Rudy starts to think over what Hitogami said about the regret going to beggar it. It turns out that Rudy doesn't regret that decision at all. Real Paul died a real one. While sad, he doesn't regret going at all, and he only has one good hand now. That's right, Rudy, you cannot regret the decision of going to save your Kasan. You can already see that's a complete 180 from what we all thought probably 2 episodes ago. So from the jump, Rudy is already going against what many of us may have deemed that, oh, he regret this for sure. So the beginning of the episode right away just attacks what Hitogami said by saying Rudy will regret going to beggar it. But like I said with the man god, he's a man god, and men are flawed. That is from this entity, that is the man god's perspective. So right away, Rudy already knows his choice, his decision, he does not regret it. So this means that if Rudy doesn't regret his choice, that would mean everything else may be extremely more complicated back at home. He's worried that something else might be the regret because it apparently didn't happen when Real Paul died. Almost #1 Imoto, Sylphie, the nameless little Doranuma, Nanoshi. What is the regret? What is gonna go terribly wrong? Hearing again the man god's words about leaving his wife for so long, Rudy can't stop agonizing over not knowing the future. And that is why people spoil. Because people want the security of knowing what their future holds. Brutus blasts through the front doors of his cursed mansion, and it's like dark, like it was cursed again. There's no Sylphie, no almost #1, and actually #1 little sister. Where can they all be? And of course, #1 Imoto is the first one to pop out with her mop in hand, and
oh my god, what is this nub?
Rudy is desperate to know the context of his at-home situation, and #1 Imoto is totally like,
Norm? She's at school, bro.
and Sylphie?
Well, Sylvie is like right freaking behind you, bro.
Sylphie! We finally get to see what Sylphie looks like if she let herself go. Now, I've expressed how much I feel about Sylphie as a character. She's not a character that I find super interesting, but she has so many good redeeming qualities as a supporting character. It's almost like while she's supporting Rutus, she's supporting the story as a supporting character and as a supporting wife. Like, she's literally the archetype for a great housewife. So how can I hate on that? By the end of this episode, Sylphie has gained my utmost respect. Sophia is like, the hell's wrong with you? Everyone had my back like Zanaba, almost number one in number one Imoto, the two,
Yes.
the slave girl, Ginger, Nanahoshi. Super pregnant number one elf wifey Sylvie tells Rudy, everything?
Be daijoubu.
Rudy collapses to the floor in relief while Real Paul's party saw everything right in front of them. Even the envious special needs demon, at least we got Bachan's approval. It skips ahead and the convenience of this cursed mansion becomes clearer as everyone is just chilling at the crib, getting ready to hear a cursed Real Paul story, along with the cursed potato. Shit's about to get way too real. Rudy gets number one Imoto to go fetch almost number one Imoto, and she comes home filled with excitement, seeing almost everyone. Rudy pulls a Real Paul line, Zane. Norna's like,
Zane? Where real daddy at?
this right here was actually a really good callback to Real Paul saying the same thing, that everyone made it to the meeting, but we all know there was someone missing. So this right here is Rudy turning into being legitimately the head of the household. Truly great character development moment for his character. Don't you remember this scene, almost number one Imoto? That was the foreshadowing, because I'm your daddy now, and a potato is your mother. Rudis tells everyone the great Real Paul Grey Rat has more in common with this fireplace now. If Real Paul had a will, I guess it's just this. It was in this moment we were reminded of why Aisha is number one Imoto, and Norn is only almost number one Imoto. Almost number one Imoto cries out at the shock of the news.
You were there, Nissan. I guess I resent you after all.
Oh my god, what is that?
Listen here, almost number one Imoto. I came up short. I can't be the only fucked up guy that laughed at this scene when he said he came up short and they showed his nub. Come on, man, you can't do that to us. This is a serious moment. Rudy, cool, comic collectively, explains everything, while number one Imoto consoles almost number one. Almost number one Imoto opens her mouth again.
Did y'all really do everything you could?
With the great door Numa lie to you, Norn. Almost number one Imoto falls out again because not even the great door Numa Nissan could have saved the real one. All the adults and the potato look at this little girl and couldn't help but feel saddened by her sadness for her father, the great Real Paul Grey Rat. After crying, all of a sudden she stops like a crazy person to ask to keep the real one's mighty Grey Rat sword. The great Doranuma says some real words like, it's not the sword that makes you a real one, it's a real one that makes the sword. Almost number one Imoto struggles to just carry a realer than real Grey Rat sword, and the potato starts showing signs that it wants to shed its skin. Zenith holds onto Real Paul's armor really close to her body, and everyone is in shock, while Lilia checks on her potato master. Super pregnant number one elf wifey asks, so when will she not be a potato? This is a very intriguing question, but no one knows. But she's staying with us in this cursed mansion. So Rudy said, we got number one housemaid with us now too. It's the mother-daughter duo we never knew we needed. But we're gonna have to put up with some inconveniences in this big ass cursed mansion that legitimately can hold all of them there. As we continually see Rudy, he's legitimately acting as the leader of the family. He is Danna. While at the very beginning of the episode, we already see Rudy going through all the emotions of what this regret can be. He has to be the one that tells everyone about everything and explain everything. He's legitimately becoming Real Paul. He is the head Grey Rat now. Number one Imoto is so freaking good at being number one, as she always puts her role as a helpful maid to others before her own feelings. And her blonde-headed majesties allow her to step out of line for once to cry.
We are the mother-daughter duo that no one knew they needed until now.
Lilia and Aisha are reunited once again to increase the sweet within the bittersweet moments. Real Paul's other crew start to head out to look for another place to stay at. Rudy is like, I understand this is a pretty cursed mansion here, but you could just inconvenience us in this big ass mansion that could hold you all here for at least the night. Geese tells Rudy that they would be such an ass to ruin their family bonding time, and we know y'all about to have that talk. And Rudy thanks them for everything they did for the great Real Paul Grey Rat. Oh my goodness, who knew? They paid Vera's voice actor. Oh my goodness, you too, Sherry? Rejoice in the sweet within the bittersweet, as they actually have lines. Sherry tells Rudy to let them know where they will create the real one's grave so they can go visit the real one at his real grave. Rudy feels Vera and Sherry's kindness, and Geese steps in to tell Doranuma to just cheer up, bucko. This is like the passing of the torch moment for a Grey Rat. Towhan is like, Real Paul should be the one thinking them, but he dead, and I barely did anything this arc. At least I made a giant rock. Alina Elise pulls up and is like, boys will always be boys. And before she can go see Cliff, after a long journey of being ran through, Rudy gives his thanks. Alina Elise's role was to help shield and protect everyone. Apparently, she's not about maintaining protection. So she apologizes and voices that she shares the blame for Real Paul's death. Rudy tells her and everyone else that they should not blame themselves for what happened, in which Alina Elise's wisdom returns. Rudy shouldn't blame himself either. Then, what the hell you doing standing there like you wifey number 2 already? Given Alina Elise's advice from the previous episode, she hits Rudy with the assist by telling Sophie that he indeed loves her and loves her very much. Who knew that all this time Alina Elise would have the best advice and the most positive outlook for Rudy, giving Rudy the wisdom that he needs and the confidence within himself to make the decisions for him even more clear, and ultimately what he needs to do next. Real Paul's crew dip out and the special needs demon stays creeping behind Sophie like she about to be number 1 wifey now. Rudy tells Sophie that they have something of grand importance to his little Doranuma to speak about. Sophie already senses the aura that is of a demon that has special needs. So right back to the fireplace we go, where character development and important plot points manifest. Rudy pulls the entire family together again to get ready for the big reveal of number 1 and almost number 1 Imoto's new stepsister. Doranuma gives the nod to Roxy, and Roxy's special needs almost Grey Rat nods back. This is your stepsister now. She got special needs, so be nice to her. And super pregnant number 1 elf wifey, she'll be number 2 demon wifey. Rudy explains to them that when he was down in his Grey Rat dumps, he needed someone, and that someone became Roxy Shisho. It was a certain special needs demon that was there for him when his Doranuma was wildly spiraling out of control from his Grey Rat genes. The great Doranuma does what every great Grey Rat has done before him. He gets on his knees and begs for forgiveness. He apologizes for banging a special needs woman. Almost number 1 Imoto continues to show her true colors and tells her despicable Nissan why the hell should she accept the lowly Doranuma's apology. Almost number 1 little sister continues to spout out what every monogamous woman would feel like for their significant other. Your super pregnant number 1 elf wifey, she felt sad for you. She felt loneliness without you. She felt the burden of being away from you all this time, and you pay her own needs with a person with special needs? How embarrassing. It wasn't Norn's father dying. It wasn't Nissan's missing hand that got Norn the angriest. It was Rudy cheating. Listen here, bucko. I got this anger from the realer than real Paul Grey Rat. I'm gonna act like how he was a couple episodes ago and get ready to smack some sense into you. The goddess Millis does not approve. You can see how the roles are reversing, like when Rudy beat up Real Paul, and now Norn wants to beat up her replacement dad. It's almost like the Grey Rat gene just runs that deep. And why would you want this lolly demon, you freaking creepo? Hold up a moment. Almost number 1 Imoto. She is inching closer and closer to becoming number 1 Imoto. Say no the lollies. Norn calls out Rudy's creepy ass by saying this little blue-haired special needs demon is my age. You freaking creep. This is your goddess now? Go to fucking jail. Roxy expresses her Zendaya problems. I'm grown, but I'm stuck in a kid's body. Norn gets even angrier, like maybe you should go to jail then. Rudy tries to protect his special needs Roxy Shisho and justifies everything from what Roxy tried to do to save Rudy from his Grey Rat despair, and that the entire marriage thing was his great Doranuma plan. The Grey Rat gene within Norn continues to go even more haywire, like this wasn't a real father, like a real son kind of moment, actually. Before I move on a little bit further, Norn really represents here the most logical modern day reaction to a situation like this. This is what makes her character great because she is normal in that way for the audience. Some situations are just different, and that's just the Grey Rat way. Roxy, special needs McGurdia, is losing this Grey Rat battle, and so she slowly steps aside and away from the Grey Rat gene she goes. As internally, Rudy couldn't allow such a shameless and embarrassing ending for his beloved Roxy Shisho. It cannot end this way. But like any Grey Rat, it is the wifey that has the final say. So finally, the super pregnant #1 elf wifey stands up for her Grey Rat with a frustrated face and tells the special needs demon to hold her little petite special demon ass. Sylphie pulls the I'm super pregnant #1 elf wifey Grey Rat around here. The Grey Rat genes is literally inside of me, and I am the great real Sylphiette Grey Rat. I understand how these genes operate. Sylphie tells Norn that being a Grey Rat means being normal is out of the question, but appreciates her intentions to be angry for her. Super pregnant #1 Grey Rat elf wifey asks Special McGurdia if she truly did help her Grey Rat out. Roxy tells Sylphie that she did, but like every side chick, she had ulterior motives. Women fighting over your Grey Rat. Only a minority of guys can really relate to this Grey Rat situation. You guys, I told y'all, I'm literally a Grey Rat with a Grey Rat inside of me. I'm the most real one in this household. My husband is totally a dirty sleazeball, but he's my Grey Rat sleazeball. I already knew he'd want to bring all kinds of ass home, and I have already accepted it. Just get ready to deal with beast booty special needs. And there's the almost soulless booty lurking out there in the wild. Sylphie goes further to explain that if I were you, Roxy, I would have given that hot tour again and again, regardless of what her super pregnant wifey would think. And this dirty Grey Rat has a panty shrine of you. Of course I knew this would happen. Super pregnant elf wifey Sylphiette Grey Rat from the lineage of Alina Elise Cursed Horrors totally understands, and it turns out there ain't nothing too special about your special needs demon. Let's learn to play nicely. Sylphie pulls out one of her two good hands to shake on it with Roxy. She basically tells her to ignore almost #1 Emoto. We are now a wifey team. #1 elf wifey and now #1 special needs demon wifey. Roxy balls out and shakes hand with the special breed of wifey material. The great real Sylphiette Grey Rat does what every great Grey Rat wife would do. Let another one in. So guys, where's the regret, huh, Hitogami? This couldn't have turned out any better. And this right here, guys, is what makes Sylphie such wifey material. She accepted Rudy from the very beginning and all of his faults. This is truly a special relationship that there's almost no way that we'll be able to convince our girlfriends, hey, can you accept this to be poly? And when can you get two girls to accept that they're the other wife? This is a truly special moment we're seeing in anime, because I never see this shit. The scene quickly transitions to Rudy's one good hand training the angry, almost #1 Emoto. Sylphie tells Norn that Rudy is a non-believer of Millis as both wifeys. Well, one almost wifey watches on in amusement. Sylphie reminds Norn about the greatness of the real Paul Grey Rat. Remember, the beginning letter of a Grey Rat name starts with a G. That was your father. Sylphie continues further and brings up how Lilia would feel, and Norn turns around to apologize to Aisha. Like siblings do, Aisha drops a sly remark which causes the Grey Rat within Norn to chase the other little Grey Rat. Rudy tells Sylphie that he is surprised that Norn wants to fight with swords all of a sudden, likely because of her ineptness in the real Paul situation. Special needs McGurdia asks the person with real special needs, the pregnant one, about when she's gonna give birth. Roxy finally caring about the wifey's feelings since she's physically there now, and that she accepts her. So Roxy doesn't want her formal marriage to defile the Grey Rat birthing process. Only after the little Dornuma is born will Roxy be officially a Grey Rat. And just like that, a month passes and little Doranuma is born. Lilia helps carry Akachan to Sylphie in a congratulatory manner, and Sylphie tells Rudy he can finally hold his little Doranuma with his good hand. This little Doranuma shall continue the Grey Rat lineage of being the most real of the realists. Sylphie is ecstatic that she doesn't have the Sperdo green hair that will cause her to get bullied. So it looks like the elf and the special needs demon have a couple things in common: getting bullied. While holding this cute little Akachan, Rudy drops some Grey Rat tears on the baby, and it finally transitions to the realist grave. Rudy talks to Real Paul's grave to update him about everything that has been happening with the Grey Rat family. He thanks Paul for saving him because that's what any father would do for his son, and which Rudy will do for his family. The lineage of Grey Rats shall continue with the birth of the real Lucy Grey Rat. She shall be the realest Akachan around. And just like you, Paul, I got 2 wives now. In the midst of talking to Real Paul's grave, he asks if Real Paul considered wifing up the whore elf or the beast booty too. It's almost like this is some kind of foreshadowing. Rudis felt like a failure as a son, but now he's never felt more realer than Real Paul Grey Rat's son, the great Rudis Doranuma Grey Rat. And no one will ever forget the great Real Paul Grey Rat's legacy. With Rudy's last words to Real Paul, he recognizes that mentally he has always been a child, but being a husband and a father now, being responsible for all of these people, he knows he has to be the real adult now. There will always be failures along the way on this journey, but you can only make the best decisions you can make and make the best out of the outcome as possible. Rudy departs from Real Paul's grave, telling him that he will bring the entire family next time, and the realist of the real wind blows by Rudy in a near heartwarming end. What is clear about the learning lesson behind this entire arc is what? No fucking regrets. So Hitogami, do you think Rudy really regrets this now? And that right there, guys, was the closure for this Rudy arc. From saving his little Doranuma, to building all of these friendships, to gaining a wife, to trying to save his mother, but losing his father. But in the end, all of these experiences, he cannot regret this because he chose to make what he thought was the best decision at the time. There's no way we can know the future. And I think a lot of the other characters, and even Real Paul Grey Rat himself, he even told his own son to die try saving his mother. But what he didn't say out loud was that he was going to die trying to save her as well. And Real Paul still died saving his family, because that's what a real one would do. But you can't regret a decision that you make regardless of the outcome. Knowing the future, it just disrupts what it means to be a human. And I think that is a wonderful lesson to close out season 2 of this arc, as I think this lesson gives a closure to the general audience where many people will be at odds with Rudy's personal decisions. But what I think everyone can really get behind is you can't have regrets. Season 2 felt pretty long, especially when they cut up seasons in half like that. But it's a show that eventually gave us a good heartwarming feel at the end. I think the best episode of many animes that I watched this year was that episode 22 where Real Paul Grey Rat died. It's such an important, devastating moment, and I think that's true art right there, because it really made us think the biggest point of this arc is about regrets. And I think many people thought in that moment that was the regret, but very quickly there was a whole 180. Rudy did not regret this, and I think that is the right kind of mindset to have, as he told all the others not to regret or feel blame about his death. Neither should Rudy. This is really what Real Paul wanted anyways, to do whatever it takes to save Zenith, his wife, the potato. But let's be real, guys, they're already hinting at she's not gonna be a potato. You do not even have to read the light novel for that shit. So for Rudy's next interaction with the Hitogami, it's gonna be very fascinating because Rudy does not regret what he did. But from the man god's perspective, he'd think what Rudy did would be very regretful. So we're gonna get a little bit more context in the future about that situation. So for Rudy bringing in Roxy as part of the family, this couldn't have been a better situation for him as a character. But Sylphie, she just keeps moving up the totem pole of like, I respect this character so damn much. How do you find someone that loves you so much that will support you and support your other wife? That a person knows you so well that she already knew something like this would happen. And to find another woman that's okay with the situation already. That's just incredible. And I guess that is just what being a gray rat is all about. So yeah, guys, I really enjoyed the show. I love a story like this. I'm enjoying more and more slice of life kind of anime because it brings together a lot of character development because you have to build these characters where the plot is few and far in between. There's no great villain in this show. And I know that Mushoku Tensei, there's a lot of controversy, but on this channel, I just want to focus on the story and the themes that I think that the story is trying to convey to the audience. And I know that my sarcastic humor isn't for everyone, but I hope I was still able to entertain those of you that like coming to my channel. And I hope that you guys value my opinion when I do say something serious. Until next time I make a Mushoku Tensei video, whether it be a whole season 2 review or until season 3, whatever decision that I end up making, no regrets. Remember to respect the journey because we all die anyways. Live in the moment, guys. And I appreciate you guys watching my videos. And those of you that keep coming back to watch, you guys can't understand how much I appreciate y'all. I'm on my own journey too. Hopefully this channel could grow and be bigger than it is. And I'm sure you guys have your own character development and important decisions you have to make in your life too. But just don't regret it. So yeah, guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. You know what? I haven't done shit from my blog, so if you guys still want to read some of my old stuff at otakusin.com about Freerin, the Imminence of Shadow, and old figure reviews, you guys can go ahead and check that out. But I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next video.